What is up, and welcome to the Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silver's 2023 SEC football preview. As always, I am your host, Brandon Silvers. If you're watching on YouTube, we're doing these a team at a time to make the videos less husky and easier to watch. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are getting the full preview all at once because you have a pause button. Now, you should subscribe to both video and audio by checking the show notes or searching Beyond the Arc with Brandon Silvers so that you don't miss anything, such as the video-only, most entertaining weekly college football pick'em show in the history of the world, Brett's Bets. Speaking of Brett's Bets, I am joined today by the man himself, Brett Gosnell, to help me break down these SEC teams. Brett, let's get into it. All right, the first team, the Georgia Bulldogs. Last year, they were 15-0 and won their second national championship in a row, destroying TCU 65-7, which was incredible because their head coach, Kirby Smart, said that nobody believed in them. I don't know if that's true, but I believed in them, and I do now. Number one in the AP Top 25. What's new this year with Georgia? Well, Stetson Bennett left to go become a backup NFL quarterback before opening several wildly successful Kia dealerships in the state of Georgia. Carson Beck takes over. He looks the part at 6'4", 215, but we'll see what's going on there. They're still overloaded with talent. Brock Bowers, the tight end, is back. Ladd McConkey, a Bill Belichick dream, is back as well. 3 of the top 4 rushers come back. O-line's incredible. D-line, linebackers, DBs, everyone's incredible. So, Brett, can they do it? Can they do a three-peat?
All right, let me be very clear off the bat here. This is the best team in college football. They are the favorite to win the national title. Their Vegas over-under on win total is 11.5. So if they don't go undefeated, you've won your under bet. I mean, it's just insane. I wanted to start out that way because Kirby will find this shit and plaster it on the wall he still will, but all we can do is just try to poke a few holes in this team. You know, they're elite, no question about it. But it's not interesting to talk about, here's your winner. We got to try to find something to talk about here. So I'll start out talking about the offense. You mentioned what they bring back, what they don't bring back. The biggest thing you didn't mention, offensive coordinator Todd Monken is going to the NFL. Do you know who his replacement happens to be?
Mike Bobo.
Yeah. So we can tell you that don't always work out, having Mike Bobo calling the plays. And you know, looking at that offense last year, the offense was actually better than the defense, surprisingly. They were like 6th in the nation in total yards or something like that. And it was weird. I think the most yards any single player had, receiving or rushing, was like, 600 or 700? It was like very much by committee. It was a lot of people getting it done. Brock Bowers is a legit superstar, but other than him, there's no like jump off the page. You know, none of the running backs are like Todd Gurley or Noshawn Marino, 1,500-yard guys. So it's a really interesting offense. And Stetson Bennett, obviously, he wasn't a first-round pick or anything. He was an extremely good college quarterback. But, all of that to me tells me their offense really did rely on the offensive coordinator. And just watching them, we watched them in person. There were so many misdirection plays to get people wide open. It's just, I think Todd Monken deserves a ton of credit for what they did last year, and I don't think Bobo can replicate it. So I think that's a big hit losing him. I think, losing Stetson, I think, is huge. Like you said, Carson Beck, pretty sure he was a 5-star recruit. He's going to be more talented than Stetson, but he doesn't have the best offensive coordinator, and he doesn't necessarily have like the best weapons maybe. So I don't know. The offense could take a step back.
Yeah, it's tough because, like you said, you don't think of Stetson as a world beater, and he was in college for forever and did not get a degree too, which is hilarious. But I don't want to sound cliche, that he was a winner. he was a winner, damn it. And so I do think that is where, if you're going to look at a hole on this team that Kirby Smart could use to hype them up, it's definitely got to be on the offensive side of the ball. If for no other reason than the defense is just, they're just going to be stacked.
Yeah. And, Stetson, he wasn't just like a game manager either. Like, I mean, they won games because of him. Like, most of the time they didn't have to, but I mean, he could run. Surprised me every time. No matter how many times I saw it, it was still shocking to see him run by people. But he could run. He could push the ball down the field. So they're definitely losing a lot at quarterback and OC.
Yeah, and it is hard to win championships in sports, particularly college sports, where turnover is so great. They would be the first team to three-peat since Minnesota in the 30s. Like, first of all, think about how long ago it's been since you thought of Minnesota as a national contender, and I can't even remember that far back personally. I don't think it's ever happened in our lifetime, but the 30s. So it's super hard. And, they've had a lot of off the field stuff in the offseason with the passing of offensive lineman Devin Willock, with the drunk driving, speeding, maybe racing late at night thing. They've had more guys get into incidents with tickets, traffic violations, and even more stuff off the field. It's just hard to stay focused and locked in, and you're going to get everybody's best shot. So between that and the offense, those would be the two things I'd look for to get in their way.
Yeah, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution controversy. Georgia kind of ended up winning that one, but there was a period there where the AJC put out an article that there was like a Art Briles-esque sexual assault cover-up deal going on, and then Georgia fought back. AJC apologized, retracted the article. The guy that wrote it, don't know how he was even employed at the AJC. He had a history of doing bullshit like that at other colleges. But still, another off-season controversy they had to deal with.
And it's a distraction. Like, whether or not it's true, just having to answer and address that is a distraction in and of itself. And you hope it's not. But just the fact that Kirby's got to be up there and be like, hey, no, we've got this program under control, is a distraction. You mentioned Mike Bobo. We clearly are not Bobo fans. Also, they've got Will Muschamp on the staff. Can they overcome two disappointing Carolina coaches at once? I don't know.
Yeah. So going to Muschamp, real quick, Kirby did say it at the SEC Media Days. This was his most difficult offseason. Not surprising, but I mean, he's acknowledged how tough it's been.
Yeah.
But going to Muschamp in that defense, there's really not a lot to say. So 2 years ago, they had the best college football defense of all time, no debate. They lost a shitload of players and didn't take any transfers, and then come back last year with still a top 10 defense. This year, they bring most of those guys back. They're going to be elite again. There's no question about it. The only hole to poke in the defense is the pass rush was pretty weak last year. And that's why Ohio State should have beat them in the playoffs. Stroud had some time to throw, and he had the game of his life. So, they were very close to not being the national champions, as dominant as they were in the actual title game. So maybe that's another hole to poke there too. But we're going to see another elite defense. There's no question about it. It's not going to be what it was 2 years ago, probably, but it's still going to be amazing.
Yeah, I think I was looking. Phil Steele has each of their defensive units as a top 2 unit in the nation, which is that's incredible to say the least. I don't even know if Will can mess that up, and he knows defense for as much pain as he caused us. He does know defense. I would be interested to see. I know they go to Tennessee this year, how that pass rush holds up against that offense. But I mean, it wasn't an issue last year. So
it's not Hendon Hooker, and we'll get to that in a minute, but Joe Milton's very, very sackable. So I think if there's anybody they'll get to, it'll be him.
Yeah. So that was their
only tough game. Like that, their schedule is very easy. That's in their favor. So they're probably going undefeated again.
Yeah. I would be stunned if they didn't, despite what we pointed out as the holes on this team. It's going to be hard for Kirby to use this video as bulletin board material, I think.
He'll do it.
He'll find a way. He'll find a way. All right. What else we have to cover about Georgia?
That's all I've got. I mean, elite defense. Offense is a question mark, and they have two bad coordinators, but they have a great head coach.
Yeah. Okay. To wrap it up, would you buy a Kia from Stetson Bennett?
Oh yeah. Well, I drive a little something else now. We won't say what, but it's better than a Kia.
All right. Stetson Bennett Kia. We don't need to head your way, but if something happens, y'all come out with some good EVs. We will see you soon.